Good afternoon, my fellow students. I want to welcome you all to today's CHI class. Today, again, we shall be talking about if-conditional statements. When we say if-conditional statement, it's a statement that is introduced by if, and also it is conditional just because the occurrence of something is hinged on the occurrence of another. Now, as you can see the example here, if I have money, I will buy it. For example, I will buy the phone. My buying the phone here is the result, and the condition for my buying the phone is my having money. So if I do not have money, I will not buy the phone. That's the implication. This is called if conditional statement. But it has four types. Before then, let me tell you that there is a conditional clause and the result clause. If I have money, that is the conditional clause, and I will buy it is the result clause. It's of four types. The first is the first conditional statement, which I'll be taking first here. First conditional statement is when the thing you are talking about is real and possible, then we say you are talking about first conditional statement. And the rule for that is that you use present tense of the verb in the conditional clause. Then in the result clause, you use will plus the base form of the verb you want to use. For example, if I have money, I will buy it. Have here is present form of have, had, has. Then I will plus the base form of the verb you want to use in the result clause. That's that about first conditional statement. That means the thing is possible and real, and you will do it if the condition is met with. Now, moving to the second one, which is the second conditional statement. It is something that is impossible, hypothetical, and imaginary in the present situation. Something you are not, and you are talking about what you would do if you happen to be. That means you are using second conditional statement. The thing is just a wish. It is unreal. That's when you use second conditional statement. For example, you are talking about what you could do if you happen to be the president's son, but you are not. That means it is imaginary. You use second conditional statement, and the rule is that you use the past form of the verb you want to use, and in the result clause you use would plus the base form of the verb you want to use. For example, you say, if I dash money. Presently, you do not have the money with you. You do not have the money with you, and if somebody wants to sell a phone to you, you now say, if I had money, I would buy it. If I had money, I would buy it. That means you are telling us what you could have done, but you are not in the capacity of doing such a thing just because you don't have the money. So for you to select the right verb there, you use the past tense of the verb have, which is had. You say, if I had money, I would buy it. Once you say that to the hearer, would have known that you do not have money, so you cannot buy it because you don't have money. If I had money, I would buy it. This is different from somebody trying to introduce a phone to you, and you say, okay, you can bring it tomorrow. If I have money, I will buy it. That is tomorrow. But now, in the present situation, you do not have the money. You are not in that very position to do such a thing. You are just wishing. Oh, if I had money, I would buy this phone. That means you are wishing. You use the past form of the verb. Or if I were the president's son, I would buy this estate. If I were the president's son, I would buy this estate. You are not. That's why you are using past tense. Mind you, some people could think we should use was, if I was. Yes, you can use was, but it is informal. In a formal situation, you use were. If I were. If I were the president's son, I will buy the estate. That is the second conditional statement for you. Now, moving to the third conditional statement. It's also hypothetical and imaginary. It is impossible and unreal. But we only use it when the thing we are discussing has to do with a past event, something that has happened in the past. You are now relating it to somebody. Now you use third conditional statement, and the rule for that is that you first introduce it with had, then you bring the past participle form of the verb you want to use. The verb you are using here is have. Let's say yesterday somebody wanted to buy a phone and you did not buy the phone to sell the phone. You did not buy the phone eventually just because you did not have money. You are now relating such a situation to somebody today. What do? You use the third conditional statement. You now say, if I had, then you bring the past participle form of the verb have, which is had. If I had money. If I had money, I would. Then in the result clause, you use would plus have plus past participle. I would have bought the phone. If I had had money, I would have bought the phone. Just like somebody yesterday, uh, a case happened to the person and you did not hear about the case. You are now talking today about what you could have done if you heard about the case. You now say, if I had, you bring had first. Then you bring the past participle form of hear that you want to use. If I had heard about the case, then in the result clause you say would have, I would have. Then the past participle form of the verb you want to use there. I would have intervened. I would have intervened. If I had heard about the case, I would have intervened. That is the third conditional. Now, moving to the last one, the fourth conditional, it's also more or less like the first conditional. The only difference between them is that this one is scientific. When we say something is scientific, it means it follows a systematic order. Once something happens, the other will also happen eventually. We've already known that if, let's say, shea butter is put in a hot fry pan, what will happen to it? So we already know that. Or we are talking about somebody who hits his head against the wall. What will happen to him? He will feel a headache, right? So it is scientific. That is fourth conditional statement. The rule for that also is that you use simple present tense form in the conditional clause. And in the result clause, you use will plus the base form of the verb you want to use. You now say, for example, if one is hungry, what happens? One will be weak. If one is hungry, one will be weak. So that's that about the conditional statements. Thank you for watching. We would like you to kindly subscribe to our channel now to have access to our subsequent videos as we upload them. Thank you once again. You are all welcome. Have a nice day.